Good morning and happy New Year from our family here to yours. I gave this little speech last night on the video, but just want to let you guys know that we grew a lot this year, and that's all thanks to you guys taking the time out of your day to watch every day. It's means the world to me. So thanks everyone for the continued support. This fall really hasn't gone my way. November and December, bad months for me. That's the bad news, is I've had a couple of bad months in a row. The good news is the exact same thing happened last year, and January through March, I went on a scorcher. So hopefully we're on that same trajectory. Regardless, it's unavoidable going through stretches like this. If you're betting responsibly, it shouldn't absolutely kill you. But yeah, new year, new opportunities. Thanks everyone for the support. Let's start with some NBA. Chris is in the building.
Okay. What's up? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I posted on the website and everything. I tailed all the way.
The under there was I really should have isolated the Clippers team total. You even said the Clippers team total, and I was like, Jesus
I thought
Christ.
About you. Cal said it too, though. Cal said it too. He said under specifically for them because they like to score at the rim. So it made a ton of sense. I love it.
Yeah, people are asking. I know a lot of people are here for the college football playoff games. We're just going to run through the NBA first, and then if you're just wanting the college football playoff, I'd say come back in about 20 minutes. But we're going to run through the NBA first. So first up, I actually have 3 NBA bets open right now, and I kind of like all of them, to be honest. But they're not until the 5th game or the 4th game. So this one, I looked at this one for 15. We're talking about Magic Pistons, for those of you that can't see the screen and are listening. It's Orlando on the road in Detroit. I looked at this one. Our graphic says both teams are plus 1.5. The Pistons are laying. I looked at this one for 10, 15 minutes. I was back and forth. I mean, you don't like to bet Orlando on the road, right? They're a completely different team on the road. So, I mean, I was leaning towards the Pistons, but then it's like, do you really trust the Pistons to consistently score against the Magic defense? Say what you want about Orlando. They don't play as well on the road, but they do play some defense. So I don't know if I trust the Pistons to consistently score, even though the offense has been improved. And then it's like, okay, well, let's just bet the under. Well, the Pistons have been running a fast pace. So I'm not trying to take an under 213 with the Pistons that are running 104, 105 possessions per game. So this is just a pass for me. I guess if you put a gun to my head, I'd probably just take Detroit money line at the minus 118 or whatever you can get it at. I'll just put Detroit minus 1.5 up for me. But this is not one of the bets I have open today.
Same. BB, you want to go second, or you want me to go second?
No, you could go. I'm actually trying to look at a prop as we speak, so you could go.
Okay, no. Okay, do your thing then. Cal, you copy and paste everything like note for note. You mentioned the Detroit playing a lot faster. The other thing I mentioned, Cal, because whenever we talk about Detroit, we always talk about them turning the ball over. They're actually doing a pretty good job of they're top 5, protecting the basketball. I had to do a double take, hold on, what? So they're doing a really good job protecting the basketball as of late. Don't want to lay with them. 2-6. You mentioned it. The number is 2-6 against the spread as a favorite so far this season. But the Magic are 3-6 against the spread as a road dog too. So you got a little revenge here. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. If you're gonna beat the Magic, you're gonna not you got to make sure they don't punk you. And the Magic will punk you because they're gonna come out and play hard every single possession. We know that. So if I proverbial gun to my head, I'll take the money line with you, Kyle. I think Detroit is the better team, with no Paolo, no Franz, no Mo. Yeah, I don't like the spot for Detroit because it's the first game back home off of that long road trip as well, 4-game road trip for them.
Sounds like neither of us really like it. Finesse the Books in the comments. What's up, man? Happy New Year.
What up, Finesse? Happy New Year.
I haven't talked to him in a couple months.
Yes, sir.
He called me 2 weeks ago, and I called him back. He didn't even answer the phone. He did me kind of dirty.
Wow.
I still love him.
Damn.
What a dirtbag.
Damn.
I know he is a dirt. Yeah, he's kind of dirty. Yeah.
Happy New Year's, FTB. I got a dirty one here. Speaking of dirty, I got Hardaway Jr. under 8.5 points, minus 105. It's kind of a bit of a sneaky one here. Pistons roster right now, currently one of the most healthy in the league. JB Bickerstaff, I consider him a smart man. And because of that, we're starting to see THJ's minutes and usage drop with the current state of the roster being pretty healthy. Technically, he's still a starter, but the minutes have dropped now in 5 straight games. Season average 27, but last 5 games, 25. Last 3 games, 22. We got Toby, Cade, and Asar Thompson all active. And in those spots, THJ has recorded a usage percentage of 16% or less in his last 5 of 6. With 16% or less usage, THJ under his last 9 to 12 games this season, averaging just 6 points per game, and under his last 21 to 30 going back to last season, averaging 5.9. What makes you quite confident in another low usage night for THJ here is just an insanely tough matchup. I mean, small forwards, they've been in absolute hell against Orlando. Last 30 days, they've allowed the fewest points per game to the position per 48 minutes, according to #basketball, and 48% of Hardaway shots come from above the break three. I believe it's actually the highest mark of his career. The Magic are elite at limiting the above the break three. Over the last 10 games, they are first in field goals made and field goal attempts allowed, and it really isn't particularly close. On top of that, Hardaway is second on the team to just Malik Beasley in catch and shoot attempts, but he owns a 51.2 effective field goal percentage. That is gross. And the Magic allow the fewest three-point attempts and three-pointer made on catch and shoot attempts over the last 10 games as well. Adding the fact that Hardaway Jr., for some reason, he doesn't like the Little Caesars Arena. He's shooting 10% worse at home this season, 7% worse from three, and I like the value at the low VIG in a massive pace down spot. So, yeah.
Someone said, Kyle, why is the audio in Spanish? That's your YouTube settings. That's your YouTube settings. Go to the settings and click the language back to English. All right. So someone said, Prop Beaver has the voice for someone that does elegant weather forecasts. So all right, we're on to the next one. And like I said, my first NBA bet is until the fourth game. Bulls Wizards. I took the Bulls the other night. I laid the 5 against Charlotte. Very lucky to cash that. Cashed it in overtime. I knew it was a square, chalky-ass bet. And like I said, probably on the lucky side to cash that. I'm probably leaning the same way here, but with Zach LaVine questionable. Is he still questionable?
Who?
Yep.
Zach LaVine. He's still questionable?
Yep.
So with Zach LaVine questionable, I'm not pushing my luck. I was lucky to get the Bulls -5 on the road and the other day. I'm good on this one. I guess it's Bulls or pass, but there's no chance I'm betting this game.
Another copy and paste, Kyle. Another copy and paste. How can you? I know the Wizards suck. Like, I get it, but they've been playing a little bit better. They kept one of those games competitive against your Knicks the other day, pushed them to overtime. You also got Jordan Poole listed as questionable. The injury report for this game is kind of all over the place, so I stayed away from this one, especially without knowing that news. But I will say the Bulls have been playing a little bit better recently, so it'd be Bulls or nothing for me here too. Just 3 possessions with the Bulls, like on the road, sounds scary. So yeah, I don't want to start my new year off like that.
Let's go on to the next game. Pass, dude. Knicks -13 with no Brunson. I'm good. I want to take the Knicks, but I'm completely good. I do have 3 bets in the NBA, just not yet. The next game, I got one.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, Kyle. Pass for me too. I will say your Knicks are in a revenge spot, Kyle. Remember, y'all lost to Utah. I think it was a Saturday, maybe like 5-6 Saturdays ago.
Yep.
We're laying 8.5 points as a favorite in Utah. Lost the game outright by 11. So you do got a little bit of revenge. The Knicks have surprisingly only played in one revenge game so far this season. It came against the Hawks in the Cup game, and they lost that one outright after losing to Atlanta in Atlanta as well. So I don't know how much they care. Knicks have been balling. They don't like care about covering because the odds makers are setting them at such a high favorite as far as laying points, but they have been winning. They've won 8 straight. Knicks looking good right now, but you mentioned 2 touchdowns a lot.
A little bit of a prop lean here. If Miles McBride gets an assist line, if Brunson goes, I saw it was projected to be at around 2.5. I would play the over there. If Brunson sits, I would also look at McBride as well. He was a cash cow without Brunson last year, and the Jazz just hand out assists to point guard, so that would be my lean.
They just hand them out.
They hand them out like Halloween candy in rich neighborhoods.
All right.
Yes.
Neighborhoods. What? All right. Next up, we have Brooklyn against Toronto. Nets smash here. I'm loving it. Definitely on the Nets. I know it's a sketchy line, probably a little square. I would imagine everyone's taking the Nets. I get it. I don't care. I got the Nets money line in this one. So obviously you got Toronto coming off a game yesterday afternoon. They got their ass beat by the Celtics, and there's definitely some trends out there, and I'm sure Chris is about to give us a couple of teams that get beat by 30 points or 50 points or whatever. They usually cover in their next game. That's a thing. I don't have the numbers, but a team that just gets blown out, that's a thing to bet them in the next game. Couple things with that though. Number one, that's really an indication of the market undervaluing them, like basically a buy low. They still have Toronto's only a 1-point dog here, so the market doesn't really seem to be undervaluing the Raptors after that blowout loss. And number two, what's the other aspect that makes that trend true? The team comes out motivated because they got embarrassed. Are the Raptors really embarrassed by getting blown out on the road in Boston? I mean, I don't think they care. Like, dude, yeah, they're way better than us. Like, I don't think the Raptors are like, oh, man, like, can't believe we couldn't compete with the Celtics in Boston. Of course you couldn't. So I don't think the Raptors are really embarrassed to get their asses beat by Boston. So I don't really care about those trends here. I like the matchup for the Nets as well. One thing now, obviously we know the Nets have not been a good basketball team this year, but there are a few things they have been pretty good at. Forcing turnovers is one of them. They're 6th in the NBA in forced turnover rate. Want to know who can't protect the basketball for shit? The Toronto Raptors. In the last 5 games, they're dead last in turnover rate. Last 10 games, 25th, 27th on the full season. You got a Toronto offense that's constantly turning the ball over, and one of the Nets' defensive strengths is forcing turnovers. Love it. Another thing the Nets are doing, it seems like they got their shit together on the interior. In the last 10 games, 3rd in defensive efficiency at the rim, 1st in the last 5 games. Clowney and Claxton are locking shit down by the rim. The reason that's so significant, nobody takes more shots at the rim than the Raptors, which is why I know RJ Barrett's questionable. I don't give a shit if he plays. RJ Barrett loves to attack the rim. Bless his heart. I'm a big fan. Loves to attack the rim. I don't think he's going to be able to score on Clowney and Claxton down there. So I don't even care if RJ Barrett plays. If Grady Dick goes, that's a little worrisome. But about RJ Barrett, who, again, I'm a big fan, I don't care if he plays in this game. The Nets have been locking it down there. Now, as far as the Nets scoring, look, obviously, this is not a good offense. There's no Cam Thomas, but the Raptors defense is so piss. So yeah, net smash here. Let's do it.
I am in agreement, Cal, and that scares me. That scares that. But yeah, I think I said some of the same things on my show earlier this morning as well. I do think that if RJ gets ruled in, because I see the number coming back down, it looks like back down to looks like it's close to. I see Brooklyn -1, but I just see pick out there as well. Either way, I think it's on the money line is a good bet, Cal. So you said a lot of things that I had in my notes. The rest advantage, I think, is a big one in this point as well. Having to travel back from Boston versus a team having 2 days rest. So if you think Toronto is going to come out with anything, maybe you take them first quarter, first half after losing by 50 last night. But to your point, as far as the trend goes, I was looking it up as you talk because I didn't look into that. Teams that have lost by, I use 45 because you get a bigger sample. Teams coming off a 45-point loss with no rest in the next game, only 5-18 straight up, 21.7%. So
what about against the hold on? What about ATS?
12-11 against the number, but the average number is 8.5 points.
You know what? I think that's a college football trend. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might be a college football thing. There's a sport that has a significant trend. When a team gets beat by 30, you bet them in the next game. Maybe it's not NBA. I might have been mixing up my trends there.
I think it used to be NBA though, Kyle, until these teams just started to really suck so bad. Like it's a couple teams in the NBA that just lose by 30 on every night. You know, the Portland Trail Blazers. Like when we need more like balance in the NBA because like you're right. Portland. The thing about Toronto is didn't they just lose by 30? Like they just lost by 30 to Atlanta the other day.
It's a regular
too.
thing.
It's a regular thing now.
Well, hopefully we get another one of those. Nets up, and the poll is heavily on Nets. So just know, if you're betting the Nets, you're probably on the heavy public square side here. Who cares? But just letting you know. Next game, Chris, have you begun to show the Pelly some respect yet, or no?
No, I have not. But I will say they are playing a little bit better. I think they're the right side in this game. Let me hear you.
Let's go. I'm on Pelly's too. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'll go first. Yeah, I thought you were taking the mic. No, I'll go first.
He said what he wants to hear your breakdown.
Don't look now, but the Pelicans have begun to play some basketball. You got to keep in mind that the Pelicans have played an extremely difficult schedule. On this season, they're 4th in strength of schedule. Last 10 games, they're 5th. Last 5 games, they're 4th. So it hasn't gotten easier. The Pelicans have been through the gauntlet in terms of their schedule so far this year. On the season, 29th in offensive rating, 29th in defensive rating. So in terms of raw data, we don't care who they played. We're just looking at raw data. The Pelicans have been one of the worst teams in the NBA so far this year as a whole. In the last 10 games, 21st and 26th. In the last 5 games, 20th and 23rd. The Pelicans are slowly and slowly playing better basketball as the season progresses. Part of that is probably getting healthy. Yes, there's still no Zion Williamson. There's still no Brandon Ingram. Still no Jose Alvarado. But if you look at the starting five for the Pelicans, I mean, you got McCollum, you got DeJounte Murray, you got Herb Jones, you got Trey Murphy. It's not like they're throwing a scrub lineup out there. That is not a bad four-player combination there in your starting five. So, like I said, the Pelicans are slowly but surely playing some better basketball. And what I like here is you look at the Pelicans defense, it's pretty bad. not gonna sugarcoat it. They don't play the best defense, but there is one shot zone that they play great defense against, and they have played great defense against the entire season. The mid-range shot and the short mid-range shot. And that short mid-range shot, those paint shots, that's where Miami takes all their shot attempts from on the season. They're 7th in frequency from their 3rd in the last 10 games. They love those short little mid-range shots. The Pelicans, top 10 defense, maybe even a top 5 defense against those shots. They suck everywhere else, but that's where the Heat take a lot of their shots from. So it's not even a bad matchup for the Pelicans here. 8.5 is a crazy number to lay with Miami. Hope Estot's watching. Your team sucks, dude. You're not laying 8.5 with the Heat. Pellies are crawling in the right direction, and I'm here for it. Pelicans plus 4.5 the other night against the Clippers. Easy work there. Chris, I'm glad to hear you've come around on the Pellies.
Yeah, I mean, they took my money the other day. I laid that short number of 4.5 that opened at 6.5, I think it was. And you mentioned it, like the biggest thing for me, I think here, Cal, is the mid-range defense. That's the one thing that stood out to me, because I think they were playing against the Kings earlier this season, and I told you I really like the over. I think just like the first game after the Cup, after they came back, me, you, and Ski was talking about it. And I was like, I like the over. And you were like, I think a little bit more towards the under, just because the Kings shoot a lot of mid-range shots. They struggle to shoot the three-point shot. The game went so far under.
Yeah, you won that.
To your point. Yeah. Well, no. You won that. You won it. You said under. I said I like over, because the Kings were coming off a game where they had scored like 140. He was like, that's not sustainable. And it was the mid-range defense for the Pelicans that really slowed them down in that game. We know the Kings can't score from the outside anyway. So when you look at the matchup, like you said, that's where the Heat shoot a lot of their shots from. The Heat, like you said, this is just an insane number. I saw this at 9 last night. I agree with them with the movement coming in under here in this spot. And look ahead may not be a thing, but if it is, the Heat got the Pacers tomorrow, so first leg of a back-to-back for them as well. So I'm with you, Kyle. I think this, not that I love the Pelicans, I just love that I'm getting 9 points with them on the road here. I think that they're on the right side. I'm gonna bet this one.
Harrison's in the comments. Yes, he's saying Miami covers here, fellas. You're laying 8.5 with the Heat, Harrison. Come on. Don't be doing crazy shit like that. Don't be laying 8.5 with the Heat. Chase VA says, don't listen to the guy with the hat. His picks suck. Guy's been coming in the stream and commenting that every day for, let's say about once a week for about a year and a half now.
He's a loyalist. Gotta respect him.
Why do you keep clicking the link, you freak? All right, next up, Mavs, Houston in Houston. Another game where both teams are catching points here.
Yeah, you know what? Having a tough day.
Probably
everybody has them, right?
Probably roll the graphics.
It's the first day of the year.
Andy doesn't know how to spell. I don't do well with numbers. So there's that. 1 second. Let me just fix that. Houston laying points here, folks.
I really don't have much interest in this game. I mean, I think the line's kind of crazy, but the thing is, I kind of want to bet Houston. So, yes, Luka Doncic is out. If Derek Lively Jr. ends up playing in this game, I think 5.5 is a little much. Dallas has shown us that they can definitely still score points without Luka Doncic. But that's the problem, is I think the line's a little crazy, but maybe it's a little crazy for a reason, because the side that's the side I want to be on. So I didn't bet this game. I'm not laying 5.5 to a Dallas team that could definitely score. So I'm good.
Yeah, Houston, Kyle, is in need of a good win. They've lost back-to-back games to Minnesota when Anthony Edwards hit the game winner a couple nights ago, and then they lost to Miami when Tyler Hero got body slammed. And they just got mad because they couldn't get a stop. And I think they scored like 5 points in the fourth quarter over the course of like 10 minutes in that game. Miami's like really locked them up. So they do need a win, but Dallas does too. Dallas is also coming off back-to-back losses. They just lost in Sacramento. A very shorthanded team. I think they only had one starter in PJ Washington, but now Kyrie and Luka are back. PJ's still there. If Lively gets ruled in because they are plus 11 in net rating with him on the floor, and a lot of it is defense, I think they're giving up like 115 points with him 116 points with him off the floor, and only 105 with him on the floor. So I like Houston team total under, and I think 5.5 is way too many points. If Lively gets ruled in, I'll take Dallas in this spot. They take these in-state rivalries very, very serious with San Antonio and Houston. They've won 7 of the last 10, and they already lost. I think
this is a new Rockets team, though. I don't care if they won 7 of the last 10. This is a brand new Rockets team.
No, I agree. But here's the pushback. Dallas coming off 2 losses. Dallas also in a revenge spot. Dallas plays well in revenge spots. Even without Luka, I think it's a tad bit too many points. Houston beat them on Halloween by 7.5 outright, getting 7.5. So, I mean, beat them by 8. I'm sorry, getting 7.5. So, I think Dallas is the right spot. I need Lively in though.
I see Prop Beaver's got some props in this one.
Yeah, actually, thank you, JMain34 Prop. What you think about PJ Washington? Well, we're getting back on the step stool today. It broke under my feet yesterday with SGA. I mean, that was a goddamn disaster. I mean, I was shitting on Kyle's boy, Rudy Gobert. The point of an SGA over assist prop is that you defend the rim and he has to pass out. Well, when Rudy Gobert can't do the only thing he's fucking good for in protecting the rim and SGA is having a field day, well, we're not going to get many assists, are we? No. So that's what happens there. Yeah, PJ Washington over his main line at 12.5 points, 15 plus at plus 160, and bet 365. Put a unit on the main line, half unit on the plus 15. Really like this one here. Mavericks are without Luka here, and I just feel like they aren't showing PJ his proper respect for the usage he's about to receive in this spot for the respective matchup. So Rockets defense, as we know, they're a damn tough matchup for the other 4 positions on the court, but for some reason, opposing power forwards are just continuing to produce at a high level against this very stout Houston defense. Over the last 15 games, Houston has allowed the most points per game and 3rd most 3-pointers made to opposing power forwards, and PJ has been a road warrior this season. At home, just 3-10 to the over. He's averaging just 9.8 points per game, but on the road, 9-4 to the over, averaging a whole 16 points per game. Without Luka and with Kyrie on the floor this season, he's over his last 6 and 9 games. He's averaging 18 points per game, 34 minutes per game, 13 attempts per game, and a 21% usage. Now let's use some of these barometers. With 20% usage, Washington's over his last 25 or 30 games, going back to last year, averaging 19 points per game. With 12 plus field goal attempts, he's over his last 28 or 30 games, going back to last year, averaging 20 points per game. And with 34 plus minutes without Luka going back to last year, he's over his last 16 or 20. Without Luka, this is a guy who's gone over in 3 straight trips to Houston on the main line, despite a minuscule 14% usage rate. So with an expanded role here, I think that he's going to be the one who does some damage against this tough Houston defense. Give me PJ Washington, 13 plus and 15 plus.
That was very compelling.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I like it as well. I'm gonna be on PJ Washington day 2. I was looking at points plus rebounds probably.
Okay,
just because
I
know
also
Houston
saw
is
that
a
as
great
well.
rebounding team, but yeah, I think he's needed on the boards too. So I love that. I'm gonna be playing PJ Washington day 2.
How do you know Prop Beaver's officially back into NBA? He loses a bet, blames it on Rudy Gobert. That's how.
One thing I did notice though, Chris, if Derek Lively's in, he's much better on the glass for some strange reasons. The 2 games where Lively was out, he missed his rebound mark by a magic fuck ton. So just wanted you to note that. So if Lively's out, I guess I wouldn't put the rebounds in there. Just
okay, but if he's in, you would like to. Okay, I like it. I like it a lot.
Just something to note. Yeah.
Next, one word: outright. Don't need the points. Don't need them. Don't want them. Hawks money line plus 195. Well, Hawks are winning this one outright. So you look at the numbers from the last few games, and you may be tricked into thinking Denver can win the rebounding battle. That is incorrect. Kongwu's back for Atlanta. If you remember, the Hawks were cleaning the shit out of the glass when Okongwu was in there. I expect the Hawks, and remember, there's also no Aaron Gordon for the Nuggets. I expect the Hawks to win the rebounding battle on both sides of the floor here. So when you're talking about an underdog, no. I don't want that plus 5.5. I said I don't want points.
Well, you don't have a money line graphic here.
Well, Andy's sick.
Yeah, I get. So
I don't want the points.
All right, 1 second. Do you know the odds of the money line?
Plus 195. Well, that's what I got it at.
Okay.
So I expect the Hawks to win the rebounding battle on both sides of the floor here. So right off the bat, an underdog that you expect to win the rebounding battle, you're sitting pretty. But obviously, rebounding is an important part of the game. It's not the entire basketball game. What do we expect to see in this one? Well, both of these teams, as I'm sure you know, they've gotten out in transition. They both run the fast break. The Nuggets have run a very weird and unexpected fast-paced basketball team offense this year. They get out in transition a lot, and the Hawks also get out in transition. So we should see a fast-paced basketball game. As you can see, the total is sitting at 246, which is indicative of a fast-paced basketball game. I like that for Atlanta. Defense in transition. Check this out. Hawks 11th in defensive efficiency in transition. The Nuggets are 29th. So we're talking about the Hawks have a good chance of winning the rebounding battle on both sides of the floor. And the Hawks also play better defense in transition in a game with a total of 246 when we're expecting nonstop fast breaks. This is another angle pointing towards the Hawks here. I think this is a really great matchup. I am a little bit worried that the Nuggets do a good job of keeping their opponents away from the basket. They don't let you get there. Hawks like to drive to the basket and take shots at the rim. So that is a positive angle for the Nuggets, but I think this is a pretty good matchup, man. I think the Hawks can defend well. Jokic should be a problem, but Hawks outright plus 195. You're muted. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't live your life scared.
I hate when we agree. I like more when we disagree, but I like Atlanta in this spot as well. A couple things that you didn't mention is you mentioned how much Atlanta likes to, and I don't know if this is sustainable or not, Kyle, but I think against Denver, it is sustainable. You mentioned how much Atlanta likes to attack the rim, 5th in frequency, 6th in accuracy over the last 5 games, but on the full season, they're the 4th. They have the 4th highest rim frequency percentage in the NBA. More recently, though, Kyle, this is why I like Atlanta. They're finally starting to make some threes. Like the 3-point shot is falling. Last 5 games, 7th in frequency, 1st in accuracy. They're shooting 43% from the 3-point line, higher than the Cleveland Cavaliers, who feel like they can't miss a 3. So, I mean, that's telling. And then you mentioned the fast break efficiency numbers. 1st in frequency, 3rd in point scored per 100 possessions over the last couple games. Denver is a team that I like to fade off a win or off of an ATS win, and they have off of back-to-back ATS wins. And I think off back-to-back ATS wins and outright wins against Detroit and Utah in most recent game. Other thing is, Kyle, you didn't mention this. Hawks in revenge games this season, 4-2 straight up, 4-2 against the spread. They're actually even in point and net rating in those games. So they've been playing those games pretty seriously. And the last but not least, the cherry on top was how they lost in the last one. No Jalen Johnson. I'm pretty sure you probably went back and looked at this. No Jalen Johnson in that last game when they played earlier this season. You had a super motivated Denver Nuggets team because they had just lost to the Washington Wizards the night before. So Jalen Johnson got ruled out. The line was coming down because Atlanta was laying 5.5 points in that game. I think it closed at like 4, and Denver took them behind the woodshed, like Jay says, beat them 144 to 111.
They also had Aaron Gordon.
Loss.
The Nuggets also had Aaron Gordon in that game.
Aaron Gordon. So subtract Aaron Gordon and add Jalen Johnson.
Two of the most important players on both teams,
especially for rebounding. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Atlanta plus the points in this game.
And a couple people mentioned the altitude in Denver, which, I mean, I'm not downplaying. It's a thing. We've seen it. Nuggets are just 3-5 against the spread in their last 8 at home. So it's not like betting the Nuggets at home has been crazy profitable or anything. You've actually been down betting the Nuggets at home recently. And I'm not saying like, oh, fade the Nuggets at home. I'm just saying betting the Nuggets at home has not been profitable. So it was profitable back in 2022, 2023. All right, next game. I'm good here, yo. I don't even care. I have no idea. I'm not laying 6.5 with the Kings, but the Sixers has a serious injury report. I'm good. I have no interest in this game.
I will take the 6.5 here, Cal. I think you can get 7.5 on ESPN bet if you want the minus 115. I just can't get that. How are we laying points with a team that had lost 6 straight games outright and against the number? Why? Just because Joel Embiid is off the floor? I looked into it. Philly's only a minus 4.2 in net rating without Joel Embiid, and that was like through the course of the full season. I don't even know what that number is more recently. I feel like they've been a lot more competitive in games without Joel Embiid recently. So yeah, I mean, I know Philly. So the thing that scares me just a tad bit, but not enough for me not to play it, is that Philly has the reason why Joel Embiid is resting. It's not like he played yesterday. he's resting because they got a national TV game tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors on TNT. So he's going to play in the second leg versus the first leg. But to me, that does like this. The Kings are 12-21 against the spread this season. As a home favorite, 6-10. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Philly needs to win every single game at 13-17 on the season. So if I'm getting 7 points, the Kings literally beat the Denver Nuggets G League team. They had one starter. It was PJ Washington. Derek Lively was out. Luka, Clay, everybody was out in that game. I'm no way possible just because that, you know, and it doesn't make sense for the life of me. Philly has won 4 straight games. I get it. It's no Embiid, but you know, not even looking too deeply into the matchup. Philly plus the points. I'm playing that, Cal. Plus the 6.5, plus the 7.5.
Yeah, I'm good.
Kings by 3.
I don't know. The Kings are going to come around eventually.
Yeah, just eventually.
I'm not going to put my money. I'm not going to pay to see it, but they are going to come around eventually. All right. Whatever. It looks like everyone in the comments is taking the Sixers too. Sky high, TWD, bro. Unmuted your under the other account. You don't have to be sky high anymore. Unmuted TWD account. But yeah, it looks like the comments are coming in pretty strong on Philadelphia. 70% to 19% betting Philadelphia here.
Public dog is going to cash to start out the new year.
So is the Hawks. That's very. It seems like between me, you, and the viewers, we're all collectively on the same side together in a few of these games. Everyone's on the Nets. Everyone's on the Hawks. Everyone's on the Sixers. So if you're somebody that likes to blindly fade the public, there's a few spots for you. Fade those 3 spots because it's looking like those 3 are very public. All right. Let's talk some college football. Chris, enjoy your New Year's, man. I have some things I'm throwing together for the app that I'm working on in the next few days. I'll get in touch with you. Schedule a call or something.
Okay, that'll work, man. Best of luck. Happy New Year, fellas. See y'all later.
See you later. Have a good one. Oh, this is good. Sky High is the son of TWD.
That's TWD's son.
That's normal.
Well, you can tell your dad that I unmuted. Scoop, that's TWD's son.
I saw. That's pretty cool.
All right. Yeah, he goes, wait, TWD, is that you? Yeah, it's fucking him, man.
Nah, man. It said he loves the show, his dad.
All right. Texas, Arizona State. Scoop is going to give you his bad pick first.
We actually disagree on the first 2 picks, so this should be fun. I'm going to give you the right pick first. So I went into last round betting all underdogs, so that was really great. I was 0-4 in the college football playoff. I'm now 11-5 in regular bowls, which makes no sense. But here we are. Same
thing. I've done really well in the bowls and in the playoff. I hit Penn State last night though.
So did I, actually. No, you're right. So I'm 1-4. So yeah, Arizona State shouldn't be here. Kind of like SMU. Why not us, Arizona State? I really do want to take them here. I went with the under in this game. Skydabu and Levitt has led this team so far, which is great for them. But listen, Texas' defense is really good, especially their pass defense. You may not have seen that much against Clemson. Klubnik did have 336 yards and 3 touchdowns. But that was playing catch-up. They abandoned the whole run game. They didn't have a run game. I think Arizona State is going to give Texas more of a fight here. Skydabu is one of the best backs in the game. They're going to use him often. And I think he could find some holes in this Texas defense. I'm not saying that. But, you know, Texas is going to come at you and press your wideouts all game. They do have a good pass defense. On the other side, Texas did what they should have done most of the season, get back to their run game last game. Wisner and Blue both had over 100 yards rushing. They have to make Ewers throw the ball. That's what Arizona State has to do. They have to make him not part of they have to make Texas more of a focal point to throw the ball. But Arizona State, they have a solid run defense. They're 40th in success rate against the run. They're 16th in EPA per rush. They've been great all season stopping the run. This game just has 2 great run defenses facing each other. So I think this is going to be a slower game trying to establish the run game. So if Arizona State does establish running room early, I think they have a great shot at covering this number. I just got burned taking all underdogs last in the first round. But I like the under a lot more here. Kyle's going to preach to you about the over.
Sure am.
Yeah, I'll let him go here.
First of all, Sam Levitt is an over machine. The man just delivers overs left and right. Arizona State 5-1 to the over their last 6 games. If you've been following along with me personally, you know that we've basically been blindly betting Arizona State overs. Sam Levitt is just an over machine. That's number one. Number two, Arizona State's run defense. Yeah, on the season it's good. Last 6-7 games, it's been trending in the wrong direction. They're allowing over 4.4 yards per carry against the likes of UCF, Kansas State, BYU, Arizona, Iowa State. None of the team, even though rushing attack-wise, maybe some of them are close to Texas. This is Texas, a little bit different in terms of competition. One thing Arizona State doesn't have is a pass rush. In fact, it's terrible. Quinn Ewers should have all day to throw, and although I am not the biggest fan of this Texas passing attack, I've been saying Quinn Ewers and the Texas passing attack's a bit overvalued all season. You're going to give him all day to throw. He's going to have opportunities to make some throws. So I like Texas to move the ball. And on the other side, I mean, did you see what Scadaboo said? They keep trying to stop me, but they can't do it. That being said, I do think Texas will be able to limit Scadaboo on the ground, but you forget that Scadaboo he can do a lot more than just run the ball. He's a monster out of the backfield, catching the ball. And this kid, Sam Levitt, I don't know what it is. I don't know where he came from. He just shows up in the big games. His 3 games against top 15 pass defenses were his 3 best games. He's averaged like 10.7 yards per pass attempt in those games. Great passer rating, 250 passing yards per game. So when they play these tougher defenses, they key in on taking the run away from Scadaboo, which is probably the smart thing to do, and Levitt makes them pay for it. He's got great escapability. He's one of the best quarterbacks in college football this season at handling pressure. So that Texas pass rush, I mean, this kid can get out of the pocket. Sam Levitt has made me a believer this season. So I think Arizona State's going to score points right back and get over this total. Scoop's going to take an L. And I placed another bet this morning. Took Arizona State at plus 13.5. Me and Wags and a few of us in the Discord took it. Last minute edition here. I am also on the Sun Devils. I'm a Sam Del. Oh, shit. I got a third bet. We were firing this morning. So I have Arizona State at 13.5. I also have Sam Levitt over 174.5 pass yards, if you want to type that up, Prop Beaver. It was like a last-minute thing. I did bet this, though, for a half unit. Leavitt. There you go. 174.5 pass yards. Like I said, I expect Texas defense to key in on taking the run away from Scadaboo, as they should, and this kid Levitt has shown us you can believe in him. So I am on... My biggest bet is the over. But I also have Arizona State plus 13.5, and I also have Sam Levitt over 174.5. All right.
Yeah, Arizona State does well against Big 12 defenses. It's going to be a shock when they play Texas here. So.
Texas has a Big 12 defense as of 6 months ago, Scoop. Relax.
Nah, SEC school for
life. They've been SEC
SEC
for 15 fucking minutes, Scoop. All right. And so, you know what? Arizona State's been Big 12 for the same amount.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
All right, next up. What's next? Oh, another. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Scoop's Wrong. Me and Scoop are on the opposite sides. You want me to go first in this one?
Sure.
Buckeye up. So if you're a college football fan, you know these two teams already played this year. And to sum up how I feel about, well, first of all, in case you are brand new to college football, the score was 32-31 Oregon. It might have been the game of the year. It was back and forth the whole time. No one can say, I had Oregon plus 3.5 in the game, so I won the bet. But no one can say Oregon was the better team in that game. It was truly a coin flip down to the last second. Ohio State had the ball, wasn't able to get a field goal attempt in to kick it for the win. Truly, coin flip game came down to the last possession. That was in Eugene. We're now at a neutral site, and what have we seen from these teams? Both are elite offensively. Ohio State a little more elite on the defensive side of the ball than Oregon is. But these might be the two best teams in the country right here, Ohio State and Oregon. Here's the thing. If you look at Will Howard, he's stumbled once. Will Howard has had one game this year where he didn't carve the defense up to another level. It was Michigan. where really Ohio State just I think they have mental problems when they play Michigan. I'm starting to think that like they just don't know how to play against Michigan because everything you see from the entire year just disappears when they play Michigan. So we've seen one game where Will Howard didn't play a great football game. Other than that passing attack's been dynamite this whole year, including on the road in Eugene, where Will Howard was basically perfect. 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 180 passer rating. He had no problems throwing the ball in the Ducks. So Will Howard, we've seen him stumble once. On the Oregon side, I mean, we've seen Dylan Gabriel lay a few eggs this year. Minnesota didn't play all that well. What's the other game where he didn't really play well? Hold on.
The first game?
Yeah, well, that's not the one I'm talking about, but that is another example. One sec, it's loading. Maryland, he didn't even play well. 5.4 yards per pass. They have 183 yards through the air. Wisconsin, 218 yards. Minnesota, it was Wisconsin was the one I was thinking of. Early in the year, he didn't play that well against UCLA. What I'm saying is we've seen Dylan Gabriel in the Oregon passing attack stumble a few times. This Ohio State passing attack we've seen stumble one time against Michigan. That's it. So which defense is going to bounce back after getting lit up the first time these two teams met? I point towards Ohio State, I'd say, is more likely to do that. Number one, their defense is overall better. It's more talented. And number two, Will Howard in the Ohio State passing attack looks more reliable than the Oregon passing attack. There's a reason they're laying 2.5 here, because that game was in Eugene, and Ohio State, I don't know if you could say they were the better team, but they definitely weren't the worst team. That was in Eugene. So on a neutral site, Ohio State's been the more consistent team, the more talented team. If it's under a field goal, I'm Buckeyeing it up.
Yeah, so this was a tough one. I went with Oregon. They've been the best team all year, and I'm catching points. I have to go with Oregon. I know this is a payback spot for Ohio State, but it's really hard to go against what I think is the best team in the league. They're not an explosive team. The thing with Oregon is they're just consistent and efficient. They're second in SP+, top 10 in EPA per play, overall success rate, and negative play rate. They're not going to beat you deep, Oregon. This is like a dink and dunk their way to the end zone type of team. Ohio State is great at defending the deep pass, but that's not what Oregon's going to want to do here. In fact, Oregon is 110th in yards per pass, but second in completion percentage. Dylan Gabriel's efficient. He makes the right decisions, and I don't see that first game as an anomaly or anything. Ohio State, like Kyle said, Ohio State hasn't let up a 200-yard passer except him in Northwestern. And that Northwestern game, you could say, that was definitely an anomaly. That was a weird one. Not only 200, obviously they gave up 341 to Dylan Gabriel. Evan Stewart and Tez Johnson, I think they're going to have a hard time matching up with them again. I don't expect 341 again, but I do expect 250 plus. This game's obviously a neutral site, so that's going to help Ohio State right there playing in the Rose Bowl. But Oregon's great against the pass. Will Howard, I don't think, is going to have a 300-yard game either. I know Oregon's susceptible on the ground, but they did shut down Ohio State the last time on the ground, the last time they played. So they only had that one chunk play to Trevion Henderson. Other than that, they definitely shut Ohio State down on the ground the whole game. So I just trust Dylan Gabriel a hell of a lot more than Will Howard. Even after Howard had that game against Tennessee, Tennessee's didn't deserve to be there. They were pretty awful on defense that game. So Ohio State, plus they did have an extra game to get here. That may take a toll on them a little bit. I wish this game was for the national title, but I guess we'll settle for this. Yeah, so I like Oregon. I like the 2.5. So give me them. I like Gabriel just better than Howard. I think he's gonna have a better game.
In all honesty, this might be the national title here.
Yeah.
I would imagine whoever wins this game is going to be the favorite to win it, right? I would imagine. So let's go to the next game, and I'm more open to suggestions on this one. I do have a bet that I like. I'm on the under at 45.5. I'm a little intrigued by Scoop's Notre Dame pick because Scoop's on the Notre Dame, and if I'm picking a side, I'm leaning that way. As far as the under, I expect, well, we already know what Notre Dame's going to do. They're going to try to establish the run. I think they're going to really struggle to do so, but I think the dual threat ability of Riley Leonard is going to enable Notre Dame to move the chains a little bit. By no means do I think they're going to just march up and down the field on Georgia. I mean, Georgia just held Texas to 1.1 yards per carry. 1.1 yard per carry. So by no means do I think I'm on the under. So by no means would I ever say Notre Dame's just going to march up and down the field on Georgia's defense. But we have seen Georgia's defense struggle against dual threat quarterbacks this year. Jalen Milroe gave him all kinds of problems. Jackson Dart, all kinds of problems. Who's Haynes King in the Georgia Tech game? What was that game? 48-45? Haynes King gave him all kinds of problems. Now, I'm not saying every time Georgia saw a mobile quarterback, they sucked, because they played really well against Nico in Tennessee. He's definitely mobile. They also played really well against, there's another one too that I'm missing. But we have seen Georgia play well against mobile quarterbacks. But as a whole, if you look at their body of work, what has Georgia struggled the most with? I would say it's athletic quarterbacks. Well, Riley Leonard is very athletic. He's got over 750 yards rushing, 15 rushing touchdowns. Riley Leonard on paper might be the perfect weapon to give Georgia's problems, honestly. But Georgia's too talented for me to say they're going to get bulldozed. So I expect long, grinded out, chew the clock drives from the Notre Dame offense, which points to an under. Will Notre Dame be able to finish these drives off with touchdowns or settle for threes? It's a good question. Obviously, for my bet, I'm hoping threes. On the Georgia side, in my opinion, there's just a lot of uncertainty here. We're talking about a backup quarterback now. It's a backup quarterback at Georgia, which always brings the question, what kind this kid very well may be an NFL talent we don't know. He's at Georgia. He's obviously talented. So as far as what to expect here, we really don't know. We can point to the second half of that Texas game and say, yeah, he's in for one, because he averaged 4.4 yards per attempt in that game. Didn't look good at all. Really struggled when Texas put pressure on him. This Notre Dame defense is some serious shit, man. I mean, they got great numbers against the pass. They've got great numbers against the run. They absolutely shut shit down against Indiana. I mean, Indiana couldn't do dick against Notre Dame. They couldn't do anything. Curtis Rourke in Indiana, one of the most explosive passing attacks in college football this season, right? They played a questionable schedule, I know. But as a whole, one of the most explosive passing attacks in college football this season. Notre Dame shut shit down. Before those two garbage time drives at the end of the game, Curtis Rourke had like 90 yards and a pick. You're going to do shit against Notre Dame. So although we know Georgia is not Indiana, we are talking about a backup quarterback that hasn't started a single football game yet. His first start is against Notre Dame. Are you crazy? This is a Georgia offense that hasn't been able to run the ball all year. So, I mean, they're not going to be able to give him run support. So I just don't know what we're expecting from Georgia. I mean, maybe Gunnar Stockton is the second coming of Christ. Maybe he's Tom Brady. It very well could be. It's Georgia. They have that kind of talent. But if I had to place my money on what's like where he's going to be on the production scale, I would have to lean towards probably not going to produce much against Notre Dame. So I lean towards Notre Dame. I didn't actually bet that. Oh, by the way, there's one thing I like for the Georgia defense that I forgot to mention. Sorry, I'm rambling here. It's a cool game. There's one thing I forgot to mention on the Georgia defense side that I like if you're betting Georgia. Notre Dame's offensive line. So they have pretty solid pass protection numbers on the year. They've only played 2 games this year against top 25 pass rushes. 2 games. First time was Louisville in week 5. Riley Leonard was pressured on 40% of his dropbacks in that game against Louisville. The second time was the first round of the playoff against Indiana. Riley Leonard was pressured on 45% of his dropbacks. So those 2 data points lead me to believe that Notre Dame might have some pass protection problems that have been hidden due to playing a bit of an easy schedule. So Georgia might be able to generate a lot of pressure on Riley Leonard in this game, which is really holding me back from pulling the trigger on Notre Dame. Scoop?
Yeah. So really quick, Sky High and TWD were talking to each other, so that was a fun one. Yeah, so this is another tough one for 2 big reasons. One is Georgia's obviously without Carson Beck. Does that matter with how Beck has been playing? I don't know. But it's still a backup quarterback coming into play against one of the best defenses in college football. With Kyle's rambling, he pretty much said everything I wanted to say. I'm
a thorough guy.
You are. So, and 2, the other thing is Notre Dame has been so bad in these big bowl games. It's hard to place a bet on them. And a huge piece of Notre Dame's missing, too, in Riley Mills. He led the team in sacks. He's a huge part of that defensive line. It should let Etienne get some running room. But I'm going to take Notre Dame just because of Gunnar Stockton playing here. This is nothing against Stockton. It's just the fact that he's thrown 50 passes in his whole career, and now he comes into play in a huge game right away. And like I said, against a Notre Dame team who's playing probably the best defense statistically in college football against the pass, 18 interceptions on a season, only giving up 162 passing yards a game. And Georgia has struggled to move the football all year. The defense, I was never really concerned about with them. It's the offense. And you can say a lot of things about Carson Beck, but he's been here before. He knows how to play in these big games. I know, sure, Notre Dame's schedule is not close to the schedule of Georgia, but they've shown out each game defensively and held one of the better offenses in Indiana down last game. So I think Notre Dame wins the quarterback battle here. Like Kyle said, Riley Leonard's going to scramble. He's going to run. And Jeremiah Love is a better running back than ETN right now. And this team is kind of like Oregon. They're not explosive, really. Their passing game isn't anything special, like Kyle said. But their defense has given them strong field position all year. They've given up they've still put up the fourth most points this year. I know they say that Kirby Smart has earned the benefit of the doubt, and I do agree he's a way better coach than Freeman right now in this moment. But he's obviously been there before too. But there's just so much a backup quarterback can do to get this team over the hump, I think. I'm not trusting Stockton in the quarterfinal of a game to come in and just light it up. So I'm going to take Notre Dame. I like their offense better right now in this game. And I do like their passing defense against a backup quarterback. So,
all right. Toast is going to come on and talk college basketball. Scoop, you said you had to go?
No, I'm good.
You're staying for basketball?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right, we got a couple college basketball games. So it's me, Toast, and Scoop. Is Toast here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't see him. I'll leave and come back when he gets him on the screen. All right. The poll is leaning towards Notre Dame in that one. I think that's another thing that I didn't mention that's holding me back from pulling the trigger on Notre Dame is what has the last 20 years of being a college football fan taught us? You don't bet Notre Dame against SEC teams this time of year. And it's a little alarming to put it delicately. They always seem to fuck this up. I will say this particular Georgia team might be a little more vulnerable than some of the SEC teams they've played at this time of the year in the past, like the Eddie Lacy Alabama team that was a powerhouse team, and maybe this Georgia team with a backup quarterback doesn't fit that description. Yeah, I'm a little worrisome about that. All right, Toast. College basketball, North Carolina, Louisville. What do you like?
Oh man, I guess if I had to pick a side, it would be North Carolina. I don't really want to. I think this game is like a kind of a coin flip, to be honest with you guys. North Carolina has played one of the strongest schedules in the country. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, it's not like Louisville is playing a bad schedule either. So there's nothing really to go on off of that. I do feel like North Carolina is a better defensive team, and I feel like Louisville is kind of similar to St. John's, where they're going to continue to throw up three balls as much as possible, whether they make them or they don't. That's the question. I mean, Louisville is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the country, and that could come in bad against a team like North Carolina, who can really defend on the inside. But at the same time, this North Carolina team has been shaky at best at times. And I'm not a really big fan of Elliot Cardo and Ian Jackson and stuff like that. So it's just really hard for me to get to North Carolina on the road here in this spot. But again, do I really want to trust Louisville making shots against a North Carolina defense that has been tested multiple times this year? No. So I lean North Carolina because I think they're the better team, but I do think that the spot kind of screams Louisville. But I didn't bet this one.
Yeah. What's up, Toast? College basketball has been up and down for me, really.
Can I say one thing, Scoop? You're wrong about Oregon. They're going to lose by 50. But go ahead.
Toast, a good pick.
That must be
So you're on real quick, Toast. Are you on any of the college football games? You're on Ohio State?
No, there's just two things that I know about college football. You don't bet Notre Dame this type of year. It doesn't matter what's going on. And Oregon is the most overrated football program in the history of national.
Let's go.
It doesn't really matter what happens. Oregon will let you down. I promise you. It hasn't happened yet. It's only a matter of time.
Scoop, he's promising you.
I mean, that must be hell of odds. Plus 50.
That being said, Ohio State has been known to let down this time of year from time to time as well.
Anyway, I was going to give Toast props for his latest college basketball run, a generational run, but now he's an asshole. So I think he's up 15 units in the last 8 days.
It's crazy. Awesome. He can't miss right now.
That's why I don't even want to talk college basketball.
I honestly don't know what happened. I just want to say, Nevada, you were a joke. I should have known.
One loss.
I should have known.
What happened to UConn? I thought we were talking about UConn. But anyway, I'm with the under on this one. I don't think either of these teams are really good. They both definitely have tons of flaws, both of these teams. I don't know. I kind of like Louisville at home. RJ Davis can keep his 38% shooting. I really don't like their starting lineup. Seth Trimble, Elliot Cadeau, Ian Jackson. Meh. Congrats on the Camels win, I guess. This team should be 5-8 right now. Notre Dame, they had to come back from like 17 down at UCLA. They barely pulled it out against Dayton and Georgia Tech. But on the other side, like Toast said, Louisville sucks too. They're not a great team either. They barely beat Eastern Kentucky last game by 2. Their starting lineup isn't much better. Chucky Hepburn, Terrence Edwards Jr. Not to mention, like Toast said, this team's shooting 29% from 3. That's good for, I think, 316th in the country the last I checked. Notre Dame isn't much better. They're shooting 31% from 3, 266. And plus, both of these teams are outside the top 100 in effective field goal percentage. North Carolina's 111th. Louisville's 222nd. So, no, these two teams aren't great on the defensive side of the ball, but they're still a top 100 in defensive rating. They can make stops. And even though Louisville had they have a decent offensive rebounding percentage, but they're not great at getting the second chance points because they can't shoot. So, and Notre Dame, I keep saying Notre Dame, and North Carolina just doesn't know how to rebound on the offensive side of the ball. They're terrible on the offensive board. So, even with Carolina running a fast pace, I like the under here because it should be a poor shooting night for both of them.
I also want to point out that I feel like this is almost, it's just like what North Carolina's third true road game, but at the same time, they played Kansas in their second game of the year. So it's kind of hard to put too much stock into that. And then they played Hawaii right before they went and played that MTE tournament. So I don't really put too much stock into those two. Obviously, they lost to Kansas by 3. The only other team that they somewhat played with the Florida and UCLA games, both of them were on neutrals or a semi-home. So if North Carolina has done anything on the road this year, it might make me get to North Carolina, but I actually kind of like that under scoop a lot.
He likes the under a lot. Next.
I don't really look at totals a ton, but play of the day for me right here.
Play of the day?
Play of the day, full unit.
I'm tailing, what is it?
Butler. Plus 2.5. So this is disgusting, and I hate it, but it's the right play. I'm almost positive. So I only say that it's because there's not many more people I hate in college basketball than Thad Matta. Just an absolute joke. But I'm dead serious. This guy is terrible. But I will say I absolutely am in love with this spot for Butler here today. Take a look at what Butler, since November 28th, here's some of the teams that Butler has had to face. I know that Butler's lost 5 or 6 games in a row, but listen to the teams that they've had to face. Northwestern, Mississippi State, Houston, North Dakota State, Wisconsin, Marquette, UConn. You put anybody in that situation with that schedule in the country, most teams aren't going to look very good coming out of it. That's first and foremost. Second of all, this Villanova team hasn't looked good at any time at all this year on the road. Not to coming off of this Creighton game where I know that we had a nice win with Creighton yesterday, but Creighton is not a good basketball team. So I don't really put too much stock into that. And the fact that they won by but the fact that Villanova lost that game by 7 or 8 points, it's just really hard for me to think that Villanova is going to come up here after a 10-day break with rest, facing a Butler team that I feel like matches up really, really well against them and come in here and have a really good game. Butler's one of these teams that likes to run a really slow pace, just like Villanova does. So it's not like either one of these teams are going to come in here and be scared off because what's going on with the pace as far as that's concerned. Butler also is one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country, and that's the one thing that Villanova struggles with is defending the three. Butler doesn't really do anything inside, and that's where Villanova and guys like Eric Dixon and kind of make their mark. I don't really worry about that. I think Butler's going to try to get up and down a little bit more than they have. I think they're going to rely on their three-point shooting, and there's another couple other things. One, Butler matches up height-wise with them, which is really big. And second of all, if there's one thing that you know about betting Villanova is that if it's close spreads like this, you usually tend to lean Villanova. Why? Because they're always one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. But newsflash for everybody, Butler's a fantastic free throw shooting team, one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country as well. Sorry, it's early for me. But I think this is an absolute disgusting spot. But if you're catching 1.5, 2.5 with Butler, I think that has to be the play here today because everywhere on the board they match up well. And like I said, you cannot trust this Villanova team for one. and for 2, you really can't trust them on the road. Not to mention the fact, look at who Villanova has played in that same schedule I talked about with Butler. Villanova's playing teams like Rider, Cincinnati, who's not that good, Temple, Fairleigh Dickinson, Seton Hall, who's absolutely terrible. They just got blown out of the water yesterday. I mean, so Penn, I mean, they got beat. I mean, the Maryland game was somewhat decent. All right, Maryland's okay, whatever. But this is a Butler spot. Butler matches up well. This is very similar to like the Kansas State game and kind of Nevada yesterday as well. Like this is a home team with their season somewhat kind of on the line. Now, again, can Butler go on a nice little run in the Big East? Sure, change things, but they need to start here tonight, and it's in conference play. They're already 0-2 in conference with losses to Marquette and UConn. I think this is, you're going to get a full focus effort from this Butler team here today. It's gross backing a Thad Matta team. I get that, but I really, really do think it's the right side here.
I took Butler. I mean, this line is on the move. It's mostly 1.5. DraftKings has it down to 1. I got a money line at plus 105, so this line is moving towards Butler. It looks like pretty dramatically right now.
Yeah, Toast pretty much said everything I wanted to say. It was Butler 3 last night. Let's be real. These are both extremely mediocre Big East teams for a mediocre Big East conference this year. I know Butler's struggling, like you said. He lost 5 in a row, and that must be the Thad Matta form of the team. I actually had Toast isn't a fan, which Toast made it abundantly clear he doesn't like him.
Terrible.
The offense really isn't too much. They're not really existent right now for Butler. Really, they're having struggles against pretty much everyone. But like I said, it's who they were playing. They haven't scored over 75 in the last 5 straight losses. The one thing in Hinkle Fieldhouse is a tough place to play. They played UConn to a 4-point loss last game, and they also lost to North Dakota State here at home. But I like the over here as well as Butler. Butler's 3-0 to the over the last 3 games. Nova's 10-3 towards the over this year, 4-0 the last 4. Like Toast said, I mean, both of them can shoot. Nova can shoot. It's the one thing they do fairly well. They're top 10 in 3-point percentage, top 40 in field goal percentage. And Butler is also a top 20 team beyond 3. This total's low mainly because of the pace these two teams play at. Villanova's towards the bottom 25 in terms of pace. It's not quite like watching Virginia play basketball, which is just dreadful, but they do play extremely slow. They can shoot the ball well. So with two teams shooting well and both defensively outside of the top 100 in defensive rating, I like the game to go over regardless of pace. But like Toast said, Nova can't defend a 3 whatsoever. So I think Butler's going to have a lot more looks here. But I do like the over. I feel like it's a little too low here.
I agree with that. I do want to say one other thing because I forgot to say it in my little thing. But Scoop mentioned that Butler has really struggled on offense, and that's very true. But I will say, as far as defensive efficiency is concerned, they played a Northwestern team that's 20, Mississippi State that's 40, Houston that's 1, Wisconsin that's 78, Marquette is 10, UConn that's 99, Villanova comes in at 196. So again, we're having a huge step down in competition, especially as far as the defensive end for Butler going against this Villanova team.
All right, let's do the community parlay and let's go enjoy our New Year's.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah. Community parlay is for the community. We community, making a parlay. Yeah.
All right, Proppy, do you have a underdog today by chance?
I could prepare one while you're.
Yeah, why don't you cook? Why don't you get into the lab and cook one up?
Yeah.
I was wondering why nothing. I couldn't smell anything.
It's still in the prep stage. 1 second.
I do like UConn today, unfortunately. If this was a couple years ago, this line would be like 20-something against DePaul. And DePaul's a lot better than they were, and UConn's not the same team, but it's not 10.5 points for DePaul yet. I don't think. They played the 320th ranked schedule so far. They haven't been tested. And when they did, they got smacked by, I think, was it St. John's and I forgot who it was.
Northwestern beat them by like 50. That's an exaggeration.
So I think UConn, this is the easier stretch for them. I think they pull this out and win by like 15 to 20.
The Pacers lost. That's what blew the community parlay yesterday, by the way. So we didn't hit 2 in a row. Because 2 days ago they hit. Looks like the first leg is going to be your Chicago Bulls. Yeah, it's Bulls money line is the first one.
Oh, and I really like Cal plus 14.5 today.
I added that too. God damn it. Let's see what else I have. Tulsa -2.5. I like Howard a lot too. I like Howard 14.5. That line makes absolutely no sense to me. Howard plus 14.5. Both teams have played like a decent schedule, or not even a decent schedule. Neither one of them plays at a very high pace. Both those teams can shoot the 3 ball. They both shoot free throws really well. I just don't see any huge advantage for Yale. I made Yale -7, so to get 14 with Howard was just too money for me.
Okay, 1 second.
Did you see someone asked what other college basketball bets you have open today? I don't think you had a ton today, right? You didn't have many.
No, I waited till the morning because I didn't really love anything. I have 5 total. Howard plus 14.5, Cal plus 14.5, Chattanooga -3.5, Tulsa -2.5, Butler plus 2.5 or 1.5, whatever.
You can, if you're in the Discord, you type ! show toast, and then it'll automatically give you his bets for those of you that are in there. That's how you do that.
Alrighty, so our underdog of the day will just be our 2 main plays. We got Tim Hardaway Jr. lower than 8.5 points. PJ Washington higher than 12.5 points. If you're not an underdog customer and would like to become one, you can in one of those yellow states, even Alaska for our friend Toast.
I have one.
There you go. You just need you can sign up with the promo code BET. BET, and you can get a deposit match up to $1,000. We're actually going to be probably having a lot more underdogs in the show now that I'll be back in the NBA swing of things, and hopefully we could get hot with those. So yeah, BET, promo code BET.
So we're the last poll. We're just going to take the top 2 college football. So it's going to be Bulls money line, Nets money line, and then first and second of the college football poll. All right, cast your votes. Tomorrow we'll be back to normal time. What's the schedule like tomorrow? Let me check.
No Thursday night football.
There's no Thursday night football. We do have some
amount of college basketball games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone talked to Andy, is he still dying?
He has the norovirus.
Yeah, that's what he has. The
he's like really sick. He has a.
I know he actually legitimately has a virus. It's the tacos. The tacos killed him.
I heard he started pooping in a bag. I thought that was weird.
What?
What?
Like there's a toilet down the hall.
All right, so it's Texas money line, Ohio State money line. So it's Bulls money line, Nets money line, Texas money line, Ohio State money line. Looks like that's what we're looking at here. And those odds are. Feel free to shout them out in the comments.
I hate that made me laugh.
I hate that it's true. That's what
Why
I hate.
was the kid needs to go to the doctor's office?
That's what I
Clearly.
hate.
He's like just sitting there dying for a week and a half.
He said yesterday, I don't even know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago. He's like, I should only have like 2 days left. I'm like, what?
Well,
How do you know that?
In Andy's defense, I've had the flu before, and when I know it's the flu, I don't go to the doctors because there's nothing they can do. So like I do, if he like 100% knows what it is, and there's no like.
It doesn't sound like he knows what it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like the flu, when the flu's going around and you get it, you know it's the flu, and you know there's nothing really you could do.
He said he like can't feel his arms and his legs, and he's been not sleeping for 5 days.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
Buddy, it sounds
dude.
like you have a
He's got
borderline
that
disease.
virus.
Like,
That
do you have
He needs to go to
lupus?
the doctor.
Like, what
I
do
haven't
you
been to the
have?
doctor in 20 years, so I don't know how that works, but he
All
needs
right,
to
well,
go.
oh my god.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
He said.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know how that all works, but he needs to get there somehow.
What the fuck goes on?
I don't know how that works, the whole doctor situation.
Yeah.
But
Insurance is expensive.
No,
My
I
wife-
understand. No,
You know
I
how
understand.
the bill that I had after my freaking wife had the baby? It was
No,
like
that-
50 grand
that's
or
crazy.
something like that.
No, trust me. I'm 25,
Fuck
about
those
to be
people.
26. I'm definitely afraid of the whole insurance thing.
I got you guys, bro.
Oh, okay,
I'm
well
cooking up
then-
insurance for you guys. Give me a break. We need a few more subscribers.
All right, well
got
then I
insurance
guess I'm
for you
not
guys.
definitely afraid. All right.
All right, community parlay. Nets money line, Bulls money line, Texas money line, Ohio State money line plus 498. Thanks everyone for watching as always. Yeah, see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. normal time. If there's college basketball, if Andy's feeling up to it, maybe we'll do a midnight show. If not, it'll be the same time as always. So everyone, bet responsibly today. Hit me up in the Discord if you need me. I'll be working on the app and shit today, so I will be on the computer if you need to get in touch with me. Bet responsibly today, guys. Later.